Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. The main talking points on tonight's programme: Brendan Rodgers calls for patience ahead of his Celtic side's Champions League qualifier second leg against Lincoln Red Imps. Rangers move closer to contract extensions for two of their first team players. And could Hearts manager Robbie Neilson be looking to an ex-Celt to lead the line at Tynecastle? That's just a few of the topics we'll be discussing. Ruffy is here with me after a long summer break. One of us looks as if they are a sun worshipper, the other one maybe not so much, but I'm delighted to see you. Ruffy, I've missed you.
Yep, but obviously you have to keep in contact when you're away, with everything that's happening in the game. And I was expecting something different. I don't know what it was. I was expecting more signings, players moving in and out. And I think the only club really that's had all the excitement is Rangers.
Yeah, it hasn't quite kicked in yet. You're absolutely right with regards to clubs really starting to recruit, but I think that will kick in possibly the closer we get to August 6th. And of course, as far as Europe is concerned, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen and Celtic will start to consider, what strength of player they need if they're getting to, possibly the group stages, which is something we're going to talk about, Ruffy, as well as look back over the summer and some of the things that we missed while we were on a break. Brendan Rodgers, first of all, Celtic getting ready for that second leg against Lincoln Red Imps from Gibraltar. I think quite a few people were taking a look and then a look again after the first leg result. But Brendan Rodgers was speaking today ahead of that match, and he thinks they'll get the job done, but he's calling on the Celtic fans to show a bit of patience.
It really, for the players, is something similar to the supporters, because that first 20 minutes, if we don't score the goal, then you have to be patient, and for that we need the support. But thankfully, I understand the Celtic supporters. They understand the game, they know football, and patience is something that they've been accustomed to.
I think if Celtic lose this match, Rob.
I was on holiday when I got the papers there, and I thought it was a misprint somewhere, but obviously it wasn't, and they'll have to deal with it. I think he's going to win the game isn't good enough. I think it's a must win. I think they will win, but obviously there's harder games ahead. But as you touched on it earlier there, I think the Celtic fans are looking for where is the club going player-wise, because every time I pick up the paper, I kept reading Brendan Rodgers talking up players who failed last year.
Yes.
And I know some managers can come in and get hold of players and get that wee bit extra, but I think there's the Celtic supporters out there know that there are players there and they have to be moved on. So they'll be hoping deep down that Brendan Rodgers, with all the experience that he's got, has got something up his sleeve. He has to have a list of players that he's just ready to press the button on, and maybe it's after this game's out the road.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be cynical on it, Ruffy. They should win by 2 or 3 easily, and I think 2 or 3 minimum. But I'm not going to be cynical at the start of the season on the stages of when Celtic eventually do sign players. What I would say is we left it at the tail end of last season suggesting any new manager that comes in at Celtic needs to offload at least 14 out of that 29-man squad, and I think that result highlighted the problems that he has with the team that he's inherited.
Well, I think he's been quite smart, taking them away for a wee while there. It was 10 days, getting to look at the players individually. He also had a couple of games as well, and the more games that he sees, he'll realise, that there's changes need to be made, and I'm sure with the money, the backing that he gets, he'll bring some in. We said 2 or 3 quality players. I mean, there is enough quality there, but with 3 really good quality players in there, it might all just fit together.
Yep, of course, Celtic received the championship flag today that they won last season, and Leigh Griffiths emphasised the confidence in the team. He feels sure they can do the job tomorrow night at Celtic Park.
We'll qualify. It's just about being professional, but being professional on a night, and if we get that early goal, I think that will scare the other team, and the crowd will get right behind us. It's a 2-legged tie. It was only half time in the tie, so we've got a great chance of going through with the full crowd behind us at Celtic Park.
That's Lee Griffiths. Suddenly he's got a striking partner now that he didn't have last season, Moussa Dembele. I think they might need a wee bit more as well, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think every good team needs 4 strikers. I think any manager I've been listening to said that you can't rely on your strikers going through the whole season or banging in goals left, right and centre. They had lean spells and you need players to get in. The fortunate thing for Celtic they have removed the strikers that they didn't want, you know, so obviously he knows what he needs.
Yep. The other thing I was going to say to you, Ruffy, Rangers have been busy in the transfer market. Of course, Joey Barton, the big signing that's caught the attention of everyone. But with his arrival, it's almost created an imbalance where some players who really did a ton for Rangers last season want rewarded financially. I think they're moving closer to getting a deal with Tavernier. Wes Foderingham seems to be close to getting rewarded with an extension as well. Waghorn, still a bit of talking to do.
Yeah, I don't think for a minute any of these players will want to move on. You know, I think the Rangers will look after them. I think that the players that you've talked about were the top players last year. You know, so I think it's just players being players. You know, seeing somebody else coming in and just want an even playing field, and I'm sure Rangers will come to some agreement with them.
Yep, and of course I think the added attraction, Ruffy, is Joey Barton at some point may well make his debut in the League Cup from the bench tonight.
Yeah, I think the Rangers supporters are just desperate to see him. You know, everybody's talked about what he can bring and what he can't bring, but I think they'll be interested in what he can do on the football park, and by all accounts he had a great season last year, and if he can produce that kind of form, he'll be a big asset for the club.
Yeah, I can't wait for the first meeting of Celtic and Rangers. That should be interesting because I love his confidence. He clearly wants to be the best player in the league, and of course he's also, I think, just lit the touch paper with Scott Brown.
Yeah, well, I think everybody out there remembers the touch paper with Scott Brown and Diouf.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of thing that both sets of supporters will be looking for, that kind of wee bit of needle, that wee bit of banter. And I'm sure of them deep down, the two of them will want to get involved in that, obviously, hopefully in a sensible way, because we all like individuals, we all like to be a bit something different in an old firm game. You like a bit
of needle, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do.
Absolutely, but I would say I think Joey Barton's got a wee bit more between his ears than Diouf, just to pay him the ultimate compliment. Now, Hearts, here's an interesting one that was gathering pace today. Could be looking to Tony Watt on a loan deal. Now, that would be, I think, a really good recruit.
Yeah, again, you know, last season we talked about Tony Watt being all over the place at different clubs for whatever reasons. We haven't all actually seen him, you know, since he's left Celtic. I mean, no playing in a club week in, week out. So I think Hearts have done well there. If they can get the player that he used to be, I'm sure he'll be a great addition to the squad.
He seems to be a bit of a lost soul.
Yeah, again, it might be one of these players who just need a manager to put their arm around them and show a bit of care, you know, and make him believe that that's the club that he should be at, because it looks as if he's been all over the place and there's been managers chipping in with wee bits about him here and there. So, no, let's hope that he can come back and be the player he was. Yeah,
now, I'll be blunt with you here, Ruffy. I don't hold great hope of, you know, all 4 Scottish clubs being involved in group stages of European football at the start of the season, because I think we've got a long way to go to build up our league and the quality of it and the player standard as well. You know, no disrespect to what we have here and now, but Hibs have got a big job against Brøndby. Hearts should see off Birkirkara, and Aberdeen are in the box seat against Ventspils anyway after the first leg mauling.
Yeah, I think it was more noticeable last year when the teams did go out early how much it affected Scottish football. We need clubs in. We need clubs in right up to December. We need them actively, you know, just from the neutral point of view and for their own club. We need clubs in as long as possible in Europe. And I just got a funny feeling that we might do a lot better this year.
Yeah, we're all 4?
No. I think unfortunately my old team are going to have a hard one. That Brøndby have got a fantastic reputation in European football, and I'd be surprised if they could go over there and turn that one around.
Yeah, so they're going out?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Wow, that's unusual for you,
early
on in the season, the Hibbies.
Unfortunately, I think it's a bit early, as Neil will probably say. He'll be wanting another couple of players in as well, but let's hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to predict anything with regards to Hibs until we kick off the new season, because after winning the Scottish Cup, Ruffy, it doesn't get any better. Hibs fans are hanging on my every word.
Yeah, and after last year, you really have to watch what you predict this year.
Well, listen, I agree with you. I think it's a hard one for Hibs. I think the other three, will march on to the next round. Incidentally, it doesn't get any easier for them because I looked at Celtic if they should get past Lincoln Red Imps, and it's Kazakhstan or Lithuania, I think, is the next journey. So that just gives you an indication of the calibre of teams that the Scottish champions have to meet up with. In the next part of the programme, Ruffy, I'm going to get your thoughts on doping in sport, because it does have implications for football. And we're also going to talk about a certain Massimo Donati and Hamilton Accies. I bet you never thought we were going to mention that on the programme. It's all coming up next. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show for the new season. Delighted to have your company, hopefully, over the course of the season. You'll join myself and Alan Ruff. We'll have more than a few guests from all the divisions across Scotland. And, of course, we'll be covering the stories on a daily basis for you, as well as the Saturday programme, which will be back on August 6th. Ruffy, looking ahead and looking forward to some of the games we'll be featuring in the company of yourself, Gordon Smith, and Macca, of course, Premiership and a very good championship this year.
Yeah, I think that was a pleasing thing about last year. Both leagues were very competitive, particularly the First Division. I think there are enough teams in there now will make it even more competitive. I think we'll get an even. Last year it was 2 from 3, but I think this year it could be 4 for 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the time we get to, I would think, Ruffy, August, maybe the end of August, I think is the best time for us to make our prediction on who we think is going down. Or are we just going for Hamilton Accies early on? Because, I was looking at them and somebody said to me the other day there, Hamilton Accies don't look good. They look a surefire bet to go down. And I thought, I'm not going to tip them because, they're just one of those clubs that just they keep on defying, the critics.
Yeah, they have the ability, whatever time of the season it is, to go on a run. And last year it was at the beginning of the season. Another year it was at the end of the season. They got their act together and won games that got them out. But I don't think they'd want to go through that every year. So I'm sure they'll be hoping they can add some more players as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Massimo Donati. Now there is a name that sticks in my mind because, he's changed. He's still in the hoops. He's signed on a year deal. He's come from Bari in Italy. And I can still remember him scoring against Shakhtar Donetsk at Celtic Park in a commentary game that I was involved in. 35 years of age. He'll have something to offer. Is it a good one for Hamilton? Is it surprising?
I have to say, when he went to Celtic, I was impressed. I think he was sort of a European style of midfield player, very comfortable on the ball, could make a pass, score goals as well. So, yeah, I think Hamilton have done well. Obviously Hamilton have had their international scouting system out there and identifying kind of players. But, no, I think he'll be good. He'd not only be good for the players themselves, but Hamilton don't get the chance very often. The supporters, to get that kind of player. So I'm sure that'll maybe click a few turnstiles to come along and see if he still is the player that he was.
Yeah, the only reason I mentioned the word surprised is because, yes, they are, they have over a couple of seasons, a few seasons in fact, always tried to just supplement the youth that they bring through in the academy with the odd bit of experience here and there. But he seems to be a grade above the calibre that they normally bring in.
Yeah, but it's good bringing a player like that in there. Yeah. When you've got all these academy kids in there and all of a sudden we're talking about him, they'll be talking about him, they'll be saying, look who's coming into our dressing room, look what can we learn off of him. And I'm sure they will. And it might just be the added spur for some of these young players to just bounce into that first team.
Yep, and as one comes in, one goes out. Michael McGovern was on our programme last season, and of course in the summer he had a fantastic European Championships with Northern Ireland. He gets his move to Norwich City, where of course the gaffer there knows him well.
Yeah, he was open enough when he came on the show that it was a showcase for him. He wanted to go there. We wished him well, and he certainly did it in that big game in Europe. He was tremendous, the saves that he made, and that's what happens when you go to that kind of tournament. If you have a game like that, people open up their eyes and see, well, let's take a chance on him. But I don't think the manager there is taking a chance, because he certainly knows the ability that he's got. Yeah.
Did you like the European Championships, Ruffy?
Like you, I waited until it got to the nitty-gritty, till the big teams got involved, and I think that, as usual, they stepped up their game. Still, it never it wasn't a World Cup for me. It wasn't,
Yeah.
you know, there was...
No, it was
there
a European Championship.
I know. But the World Cup seems to have all the big names, you know. I don't think
Yeah.
there was enough names. You know, we looked at
Yeah.
Ronaldo, you know.
But I was listening to, when I was out in America, I was listening to a former England player, Paul Mariner, who was working on a sports channel over there, and he said, you know, he didn't like the 24 teams. He thought it just was a waste of time. You know, the smaller countries were wasting it for everybody, and it was all about the bigger countries. They can't be bothered with all this nonsense. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, there's Iceland dismantling England. You know, maybe it's time not to have England involved in the competition, Rafi.
Well, I'm glad you said that. But no, I enjoyed it. I think you need wee teams, you know, to go there and surprise everybody.
That's
and
what football's all about.
Of course it is. Of course. And what about the celebration?
Yeah.
Celebrate. I'm sure there must be a club out there will catch on to that celebration. The Icelandic.
I don't know why you're saying catch on. Motherwell have been doing it for years.
Have they?
That's Motherwell's celebration. They've been doing that for years.
I haven't seen. We're in the wee pocket in the
In
corner.
the Motherwell Ultras. Yes. I'm not going to take anything away from them. I've been watching them. They've been doing that for years.
Well, all credit to them. So
I think a few
Iceland
more will
pinched it then.
Iceland pinched it. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean?
Shocking.
We are market leaders at Motherwell. Listen, the other thing I was going to say to you, you happy Ronaldo, Portugal? I was happy for him individually, although he didn't play a part in the final. I guess you're not a fan.
No. As soon as you know, he lit up everything. You know, I had my phone dinged and I had a Des McEwen tweet of. I don't know what he's done to Des.
Yeah.
I mean, Des just can't get his head round that he is a quality player.
Yeah, I think he's absolutely top drawer. I mean, I'm delighted for him that he got it. I think the perception and the reality of Ronaldo are, you know, quite a distance apart. But as a footballer, you know, he wins it. You've got to pay credit to Portugal, even when he went off. Thought they were very well organised, and what a goal to win it as well. Superb.
Superb. I thought a couple of their players could move on to one of the big English clubs as well.
Yeah, a couple of things I want to talk to you about, Rafi, before we go. Boy, I missed you over the course of last week, but I had an able deputy in Gordon Smith for the Homeless World Cup. It was inspiring, humbling, and you know, it filled you with hope. When you were in the middle of George Square, 3 great artificial pitches, Ruffy, and you know, over 500 players, all with a story, all with a difficult story as well.
But I only got the chance, obviously, being on holiday, to get the final day, and I come down, and I couldn't. The first thing I noticed when I went down there was a smile on everybody's face, whether it was Costa Rica, Namibia, where they were from. They were all having a great time. They were all enjoying it. The fans were enjoying it as well. And the football was good as well.
Yep, absolutely. I think one of the images that will live with me for a long time was the Indonesian goalkeeper who was born without any feet. And quite simply, Ruffy, he never gave you any thought whatsoever that he had a disability. He was just inspiring, just delighted to be there.
No, but I think that's what football's all about. You know, you go in there and you want to compete. Obviously, everybody wants to win, but if you're competing, that's the main thing. And that's what I took from the day that I was there, that everybody was united together and they all enjoyed themselves.
Okay, from the Homeless World Cup, 2 quick points to finish. The League Cup, this format, I was speaking to a couple of managers who mentioned to me that, you know, as far as Premier League clubs are concerned, some of them are treating it as if it's a pre-season warm-up for them.
Yeah, they probably will just now. But I mean, as it progresses to the latter stages, if there's a cup up so early in the season, you want to win it because you can get a spin-off for that for the rest of the season.
Yeah, here are the fixtures for the League Cup. And of course, Ruffy, when you look at it, there's 3 points for a win. It goes straight to penalty kicks. If you win that, you get 2 points, and the losing penalty kick team gets 1 point. So, you know, interesting. We're changing the rules just to try and, you know, get that little bit of excitement. I'm not too sure crowds are buying into it right now, but hopefully they'll get out tonight and support them.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, there's one game tonight, and I looked at the St Mirren versus Ayr. I think that'll be a right good game. Ayr had a good result at the weekend. I think Alex had a couple of few good signings, a lot of experience there. So I think that would be, if I was to pick a game, that would be the game I'd go to tonight.
Yeah. Just one thing to finish, the Russian anti-doping scandal. You know, the Olympics have got, the IOC's got a big decision to make because it's just a widespread doping program that they've caught out. I think over 500 athletes, Ruffy, some of them medal winners. Does it have implications in a broader sense for sportsmen in Russia, in football especially as well? Do we have that problem? Are we not, are we scrutinising it enough?
Obviously, you can't scrutinise it enough, but I think they have to be made an example of. You know, if a mighty country like that gets found guilty, you know, everybody else will take heed, and hopefully the spin-off will be for every other sport. You know, because if you go into a sport and you're not taking anything, it must be soul-destroying that other countries are.
Yeah, I used to think, Ruffy, it wouldn't have really a major impact on football, in my naivety, obviously from the fact of football is very much a skill set, but you have to have the stamina, you have to have the energy, and you know, some of these things allow you to go even longer than normal.
Yeah, and I mean, Sharapova is a perfect example. You know, somebody at the top of their game still thought that she needed something to take her to that wee bit extra. So let's hope it stops.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Great to have you back, Ruffy. Looking forward to the new season. And of course, the good news is Ruffy and myself are 100% clean, bar the odd antihistamine for the really hot weather that we're getting, which was only going to last a day. But nevertheless, from Ruffy and myself, thanks for watching. We'll speak to you tomorrow.